Yeah.
You're pretty terrible.
Oh, look at you take
I'm
that
finally like getting a little bit of mobility with my Lisa, like 1% mobility. It's nice. It's nice.
So I figure, we
Oh,
we the two of us, I'm taking it to the street. Um, we talk a lot. We also have our own podcast, Brick Sandwiches. Go
oh,
check
we
that
do.
out.
Brick
So,
sandwiches
we
all day, every day.
I'm pretty sure we can hold this together for a stream while we play. Might be a little difficult, but what I wanted to talk about or interested in talking about is the
Ooh,
brick wall.
can I take a quick second?
What?
Just a quick second. I'm loving this authoritative discussion that you started. You went
I'm
straight
just
into
saying,
it. You're
man.
like, no. If we're gonna get it going, we're gonna get going.
We gotta
I like
we gotta
it.
put
I
on a show
appreciate
for
the
these people.
assertiveness.
All right, they're
the
people
way
in
to
the
do it.
stream waiting for things to happen that aren't like are really bad fighting. So one of the things, like I said, what I was interested in talking
So
about
the brick wall.
is the brick wall, not the sandwich, the wall. That moment where you play a fighting game and you kind of feel like you're just hitting your capacity for skill level.
Ooh, this is such a good topic, Johnny.
Right?
This is why we do life together. I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
but
I don't really know
it
what that
sounded
means
amazing.
but it's just one of those things that, like, I think each of us have broken through, we call it a brick wall, maybe a glass ceiling, whatever you want to describe it as. Pretty recently.
I'm gonna go with that wall.
Okay.
The glass ceiling is pretty taken.
But pretty recently in DOA, where we kind of saw that our skills have been kind of leveled up. Obviously, we still struggle.
Oh, mash out of that!
I like that. We still struggle quite a bit against, the top tier guys that we got on our stream sometimes. But, we're talking about, tournament winners that just take us to task. I kind of feel like, fighting them, we describe it as, like, you kind of feel like you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I know we've both voiced some frustration before about feeling like we've made some progress only to deal with these guys in a way that makes you feel like you've made none, you know? And, oh, you're so heavy, you fat girl.
Oh,
That's not
I
even
did
correct.
not expect that thingamajig.
It was not nice.
It's all good, it's all good.
I wanted to pick you up more. But yeah, and I know that, like, one of the things that we've had issues with, or that we've talked about with regards to that, is that when you're playing people that are so far ahead of you, it's hard to feel like you're making any progress at all.
Yeah!
Because...
that's something I was struggling with even last week, where it was like, oh, this is just frustrating.
What a blaze, why aren't you in the lobby?
Like, it's just
Anyway.
difficult to learn,
What? I was in the air.
No. No!
Oh! That's in that way! Oh! Okay, so yeah, you were saying last week, because you were struggling with this last week. We're talking about hitting the wall.
Yeah.
And,
Save.
this is a fairly consistent thing. And so, I don't know, first talk about, let's get straight into just like the feelings of it.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about kind of how to get yourself out of it. Because if there's one thing that we've definitely learned and that we've experienced over time, is that your mental state of mind is so big on your ability to learn the game, to be able to respond to the game, etc. So yeah, like let's talk a little bit how you felt, and we'll bounce experiences back and forth, and then we'll get it rolling.
Well, like last week it was CJ and Steady was in, right?
Yeah.
So, we were talking about picking up alternates, or we were kind of just talking about, why we pick characters in general. But the whole, like, secret alternates idea kind of came to be. And I was like, yeah, Mila would be fun for me to play. I like her as, I like the character, I like the style. I'm getting whooped right now. You're doing this on purpose. I'm getting taken to task by Ayane. So I try to just jump in really quick with Mila, and it was, it was kind of such a huge mistake. Like Tina, I know her moveset, right, and I know what to expect generally. I'm not gonna win, but I'm still kind of learning against their play style and trying to figure out how to either mash out or just find my breathing room.
Yeah.
Good luck. In order to keep up, and I'm still working on that with Tina. But with Mila, it was like just honestly, it felt like I didn't even know what I was doing, or like I might as well put the controller down.
Yeah.
Kind of like what it feels like right this. No, I'm kidding. And that's really, really frustrating, and I can totally see why that is kind of a very huge contributing factor to why people would want to not play a game. You know what I mean? Like jumping in and just getting, nobody likes to lose. So, just feeling like you have no control over the situation and you're completely sort of suffocated by another person's assault.
Especially if you're playing someone like Steady.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're playing one of these hyper-aggressive people,
Right.
it's really tempting to just, like, put the controller down because you feel like you're in paralysis,
Well, and one of the things that we talk about, and you're right, is that we respect the fact that Steady doesn't let up. Like, I respect that as a player, where it's like, yes, I gotta learn how to do this. But at the same time, like, I never felt like that was conducive to a lot of learning early on. Like, in the early stages, that's not, I don't agree that that's a great way to learn.
Yeah, for sure.
Because...
So it's tough because I'm actually really mixed on it. The first person I actually played offline with was Hajin. Hajin and Vincent Rain at Vincent Rain's house.
right.
It was weird because basically in that day I changed my main like 4 times because I would sit there and just be like, oh, I think it should be I should be able to play this character. I should be able to play this character, whatever.
Right.
And anybody I thought I was 1% good with, I would just get destroyed by Hajin. And at that point, like, I was so new to the industry or to the scene, like, I had no clue the level that he was ahead of me. Like, I knew he was ahead of me, but like the degree was a big deal, right? And so I kept thinking it was just something like I just sucked with that character. So let me try this character, and it wasn't that. It was that he fundamentally knew the game way better than me.
Right.
And so I will say, even though I couldn't like do anything, I mean, he got so many greats on me that day. I felt like I couldn't get anything going on. It wasn't completely fruitless. One, I learned how important it is to just have a character to pick, that wasn't just...
Oh,
first of all, I just got a deja vu mid-conversation, so yeah, that's what it's going to be.
Happy.
That monkey should be happy.
Oh, nice
Yeah, so it wasn't like it was entirely fruitless where I got nothing out of it, even though I was getting demolished the whole time, right? Like, that's part of what made me go ahead and finally get to Lisa.
Another one!
And, dude, mid-combo deja vu! Because at that point, I just decided... I know, she's all mad. At that point, what had become important to me was kind of what we were talking about yesterday or last time with picking characters.
Yeah.
Where it became about just finding a character I like and sticking to that character. Like that concept to me was still kind of foreign. Like I had just played almost all of my fighting games pretty casually, and so before then, like I just played a lot of characters because they were fun, and all this stuff. And like the concept of actually getting like a main is what I got out of that, right? A main, and that he could punish everything I could do. That the fact that you could know a game that thoroughly was what I got out of it that first time, right? Oh, see, now you make me want to pay attention. Oh, into the critical burst! Oh, it didn't work.
Finish it. Well, see,
Um,
now, one of the things that I find really interesting about this too is like, because you talk about it being offline, and that's kind of important. Is like learning a character offline, but also being in a very supportive environment. You know what I mean? Like you could talk to them about what you were doing wrong, and like.
Oh, it made all the difference in the world. If that
Right.
was an online training session, I would have stopped playing the game.
Yeah.
Like, I probably would have just been like, okay, like, I'll just go back to playing Marvel because
Right.
this isn't going to work for me.
That was one of my biggest beefs with Street Fighter 4, is that the ranked matching was like, you jump in and then they spit you back out. And it's like, I don't feel like I can learn quickly enough. I mean, their netcode was pretty rough, but like, I just got work, and I have no way to like, try this again and kind of workshop what I did wrong. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
how do I figure this out? Like, when we do lobbies like this, when it's big, I kind of feel the same way. It's like there's maybe 6 or 8 people in here at a time, and it's like you get knocked back down to the bottom, and then you kind of feel like, well, and maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm not studying what I'm doing wrong well enough. But it's like, how do I want to jump right back in. I want to figure out what I did wrong. I want to try to work this out.
Yeah, yeah. So this is part of the wall, right? Is figuring out what your next step is to get anywhere, right? And it's really frustrating. It's like you said, it's frustrating when you're in an environment where you can't immediately pick it back up. And I would actually also contend sometimes it's equally as frustrating when you're in an environment where you can get, beat 17 times in a row.
Right.
And just have to deal with that,
Yeah.
So one way or another, you got to work through it. And like the number one thing I could say about dealing with the wall is definitely you got it. Like you're never gonna get anywhere in any of these games if you don't work through any kind of wall that you're dealing with. Period. And we're not just talking about a little obstacle like learning how to do a combo, although it could be that, if you're trying to get through, combo challenge or whatever. Dude, I didn't even get to stage 2 of that.
Or really even just started. Like, that's how I feel about my Mila play. It's like, I honestly don't know anything about her. So it's like, it's not exactly a great idea to try to fight some of the premier fighters when I don't even know any of the basic fucking combos. And that just compiles on a frustration. It's like, now I feel like, as a part of, like, I don't know what I'm doing, I literally already don't know what I'm doing, and they're going to ensure, a certain amount of victory for themselves. So it's difficult. Fuck. Alright. See, now when you talk, everything was fine. And now when I talk...
I'll take the great, though! I'll take the great!
Oh, shit. Okay, this is not what I want to have happen today.
Oh, it's so nice to just be relaxed and play. What? Physics! Ooh. God, I hate when you get the hard knockdown.
That's my combo. Oh, I wish Tina had, like, good ninja combos. But, she's not a ninja. Oh my god!
Oh, I didn't realize that was the third round.
Oh,
I'm okay with it. But yeah, a little bit back on track. So, the number one thing is you gotta, whether you gotta step away from the game for a minute just to cool down, or you can mentally reset. The number one thing you gotta do is mentally reset. Like, that's the biggest deal.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, like, here's just interesting that, like, okay, so a lot of what I was talking about obviously was with a brand new character. So, there's a couple contributing factors that, like we mentioned, not knowing the character at all, playing top tier guys. And I should take her to the lab, go through her combo training, go through all of her trainings, her moveset, so I get a better basic understanding of the character in general. But in the past, what's been interesting to me is, like, when we started this whole thing, way back in the day, it was like, my skill level was pretty atrocious.
Horrendous.
I probably only knew, like, this combo. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. That's all I knew. And,
dude, I was afraid to go back turned with Lisa when we started doing this.
Right? So,
like, that's how ridiculous it was.
So, like, a lot of just playing those guys, playing all you guys, Blaze and Hodgin and Vincent and all you guys, was, like, taking my licks and really kind of learning, like, getting rid of bad habits was the most important part,
Uh-huh.
right? So
Yeah.
I think that that's what a lot of, we call it the wall, but really it's a lot of it is like find a way to get rid of bad freaking habits. Because we all have them.
And good players
and
will
we all-
force you out of that stuff.
Right? Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
I don't know how many times, and it's like, because basically, the experience that I've had is that a lot of these guys, like, they're not going to pull out ultra complex, high execution stuff if they don't have to. Like, unless they're specifically training it to make it better, like, they're just not going to do that. They're going to,
Right.
they're going to go with their bread and butter, and if you don't do anything about their bread and butter, they're just
Yeah.
going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And so what that does is, okay, so it does a few things as far as, like, one, it forces you to realize there's a pattern going on here.
Mhm.
And like CJ said, so much of this game is pattern recognition.
Right.
Or just any fighting game, really. But then, like, you get to try things. If they're going to do the same combo to you 4 times because you're not doing anything about it, you get to see, okay, should I just block through the whole thing? Should I do a high hold, mid hold, low hold, whatever, right? You get to experiment a little ways, and it's all these things where when you're playing, when you're facing a wall and you're playing like overly powerful people compared to you, you got to start being on the you got to start being into the little victories.
Mhm.
And that's the big thing. Like, you get all these accumulated little victories that don't feel like anything,
Yeah.
and then at some point you look back and you realize, holy shit, I broke through that wall.
Mhm.
But it's like, at the time, it never feels like it.
Oh my God, he does not play like Tina at all.
Oh god, no. And I'm over here thinking, like, I should kind of know what you're doing, but I don't, because if I want to call Rachel a sub, I could, but I don't actually know her.
Yeah, and also, I literally don't know her, so like, it's kind of a match fest for me right now. I don't even know her vortex. You know what I mean? So you probably won't
Yeah.
even see that this match. And I know you have to expect it, but it's like, it ain't coming, because I don't even know how to do that.
Oh, yeah, right into the kick.
Nice. Oh, it's a critical stun.
Ooh, yeah, get it.
Oh, I knew it was coming.
Yeah, you got it, man.
No, not like this! Oh, what's her power blow? Don't tell me it's all the same, because it's not.
No, you're talking about critical burst, right?
That's,
Oh, I think her power blows diagonally back with the 2 buttons
oh, okay.
with punch and kick. I think. I don't actually know. I don't ever
What
use it.
the
That
hell
was
was that?
interesting. Camera tricks. Houdini.
Hey, you weren't supposed to do
Ah.
that. Why am I trying to... Alright, I just
I'll
ran into
take it.
that, like,
Slow, Rachel. Slow, Rachel.
Yeah,
Ooh,
slow.
you got that mean ass
Stomp
kick.
him in the nuts.
Basically, where's Eat Dirt when you need him?
I know, right?
Oh, wasted an opportunity for a punish. Oh, you got the critical burst though with that double tap forward punch. That I finally know how to do. Okay, so we discussed a little bit about breaking or dealing with being in the space where you're being in the head space where you're facing. Ooh, good throw punish.
No!
Oh,
it's
but
over.
I'm gonna
It's
finish
way
it
over.
and I'm gonna end
Way
this.
over. As you should.
Did you really think you
I'm backing out so I can invite Blaze.
Do it. Get him in here.
Yeah, but yeah, okay. So we talked a little bit about the mental state and the difficulties of facing the wall.
Yeah.
We talked about a little bit of how to get out of it. Do you have any particular like stories? Do you have anything like that?
I mean, unfortunately, they're not related to DOA, but I tell you,
Okay, what about
and
how about let's talk about when you break through.
See, okay, yeah, that's. And here it is. Like, it kind of works in both ways. And I think it's applicable to DOA. I don't mean that it's not. It just didn't happen. Anyways. It was actually playing Street Fighter 4. And for a long time, I didn't understand focus canceling. Because it was like, I was a third strike player, and like that was just a new, complicated way of doing things that I thought was way simpler in third strike. So, for the longest time, I couldn't do it. And like Ken's bread and butter is, you know, the focus dash cancel. And I couldn't pull it off. And it was just driving me insane. So much so that I stopped playing the game for a long time. So I was like, I don't understand the system, I can't do it. And one day, I literally just went, okay, this has got to happen. Like, I really like the way this game looks. My friends are playing it, and I want to be good at it because it looks like a lot of fun and it's Street Fighter, and I got to get through it. And I literally sat there in a training room and just practiced it until my hands started to hurt. Like, that's all I did. I just kept practice doing it. Practice. Kept doing it, got a little bit better. I kept doing it, got a little bit better. Until eventually, it became second nature. It was something that, like, I don't have any problems doing now. And I think that could be true, obviously, for this game, too. It's like, once, with really any fighting game, once you get to that point where you can force yourself, just like teaching yourself out of bad habits, you can force yourself to learn a thing and, like, master a thing until it becomes second nature, then you kind of... You reach this like elation where the whole game feels like it opens up. Like the entire game totally changes just in like overnight. Where now it's like, you know, every skill set you had is now amplified by this new ability that you have to do a whole bunch of new other stuff.
That's a really good point. Because this game, I mean, fighting games in general, the concept of playing is that you have to like all your stuff compounds, and it's really weird because there's no like perfect order in which to learn things, especially with differences in characters, right? Different people have different ways of learning, and different characters have different strengths and things that you need to learn as a fundamental before you could build on them. But it's always amazing how something like that happens, right? Where you learn to do something and it unlocks an entirely new part of your game. Like, for example, in DOA, when I started, like I said before, I've never actually played a grappler character before. Lisa's the closest I've ever been to a grappler, and before I wasn't able to throw out her deja vus just on reaction. Like I mean, I never threw out throws on reaction, but if I did, it was, you know, the throw button, and that's it. And I remember that my game changed so huge once I was able to throw out deja vus, and I did a similar thing to you. Now this was back when I was playing with the stick, but like I just did it a bunch of times until I had the timing down, until I had it down, and it was something that I felt like comfortable I could just do in a match. And then of course you got to try it, and I tried it online and realized the time was a little different, you know, all that stuff. And so, but once I got to that point where I could do it, just the threat of the deja vu opened so many other things up, you know, just being able to continue combos and do whatever. And it's always amazing how what you think is not that big of a deal, these little micro battles that we talked about, you gotta win and whatnot, some of these things are way bigger than you think they are and can lead to greater gains. You know, it's like the sum is not, or the sum is larger, or holy crap, the gains are larger than the sum of the parts. Jesus. Let me put together something that makes sense. But yeah, it was basically that type of situation where it felt like, you know, I maybe, if my game on a scale of 100 was 15, you know, it felt like it went up to 20 by being able to add a deja vu in there.
Right.
But being able to do it actually, like you said, it opened so many things up and made my ability to utilize my other tools even better, that it really was a much larger thing. You know, maybe I was up to 30 or 25 or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, you and your Mila. You just want to, like, mount me when I'm on the ground as much as you can and just punish me every chance. You're like, ground
It's like
throw,
a
I'll do
speedy,
it.
weaker. What's her name? Tina.
Tina?
Ugh!
Just idolize Tina.
I do love that character. I mean, she's tough. She's a hard climb, let me tell you. For, you know, fighting ninjas and, like, crazy French women who are super fast with slaps. Tina's a hard fight. But,
Yeah.
just, you know, you can't give up on that. Like, that's why, like, you know, and it kind of goes into, I don't know, it's a little off track, but it kind of goes into the idea of tiers. It's like, tiers are kind of BS. I think the best explanation I've heard for it is just like, it's just sort of a beginner's guide to maybe get it, you know what I mean, to get a basic understanding. But we all know,
Yeah.
like, any character can take the show.
For sure.
Just, it's all about the right fighter. Aw, that's my punch time.
Yeah, you know, you thought it was. Oh god, now you're just destroying me. I'm trying to think of some cool stuff to say, and I gotta deal with you whooping that ass. I'm just not a fan of that.
Give me that!
What?
Oh! I'm not done!
I should've just
I
finished
am
it.
done. Yeah!
Oh no! Okay.
Sorry. My
So
first
there's that,
victory with Mila.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal. Congratulations. I'm glad it was against my Rachel and not my Lisa. Let's see what else, because there are a few more sides to this story. It's the story of dealing with
Yeah.
the wall, right?
Yeah.
One of the things is that you gotta be able to recognize when you've hit the wall.
hmm
And I think sometimes
That's actually really important.
you can spin your wheels and think that you're making progress and think that, you know, examples for this are a little harder because they're more person specific. But I mean, this is a little, this is, for example, this is kind of where I was at EVO this year, and I know I've told this story 400 times, and I'm going to continue to tell it because I was traumatized. But the main thing is that what happened to me there was that I had gained all this experience in playing the same people over and over and over again, and I was not aware that I had kind of plateaued in my talent, even though it felt like I was doing better. I was doing better against you. I was doing better against like some of our regulars in the lobby, but it was also because we just played each other so much and we knew things. So what I was really getting better at was at playing you specifically, and vice versa. Like you and I were both, getting better at playing each other, right?
For sure.
Whereas I would say you did a better job of actually elevating your overall game, which I remember was crazy because like the day or two before EVO, suddenly you broke out all this new shit I hadn't seen.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I decided to try this and this, and like it works. I like it, so it's part of my game now.
Right.
Whereas like I had been sticking to the same old. So then when I actually was playing brand new people, I mean I wasn't a scrub, but I was like the San Francisco 49ers. As soon as they figured me out in the first quarter, I had no chance. For all of you that aren't football fans, basically I wasn't able to adjust because my ability, my skills, was only so big, and I hadn't actually expanded my repertoire of strategy, of things I can do, of ways I could try to bait people into situations or setups or anything like that. I had just gotten more effective at using the 2 or 3 that I knew against, say, Johnny, when I knew like the few things that he did, at least prior to that weekend. So,
Right.
So that's what made it so tough for me. Like I didn't realize that I had plateaued because I didn't. It's like genetic diversity when you're breeding a population, right? Like I want a
Right.
diversification of people that I'm playing, so that, like, I can test different things. Like something that might work really well on you for whatever reason, especially with you and me playing so much, might not work on most other people or some other people or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
So it's one of those things that, like, I just wasn't aware of where, like, what situation I was in at all. It wasn't even close.
But I mean, I think what's interesting though is like, for a lot of people, the best way to learn is to kind of do what we did, which is play at your. And I know this can sound fucked up, but it's like play at your station. Because you're gonna keep bouncing back and forth, and like especially with friends. So when you think about it, it's like you're gonna keep playing somebody. Eventually, you're gonna beat them. But more importantly, is they're gonna eventually beat you, and that's gonna keep going back and forth. And that's gonna help you in a lot of ways playing a game. It's gonna be also a danger, like you said, where you might get too used to somebody. You might get too used to a skill level. And that's honestly, I think that's the first wall for any fighter. We all start by playing, a fighting game with mutually with friends. We all gather around an arcade machine, or we all played at home. And eventually, we got to the point where, the best couple guys in the group wanted to take it to that next step. And the only next step, honestly, is the offline tournament scene. And that's the first time you're going to learn what it looks like, you know what I mean? So, like, that's the first wall. That's the only one that doesn't feel as bad, in my opinion, because, like, if you look at it right, if you have the right perspective on it, and this is key, I think, in all things with the whole idea of the brick wall, it's about having the right perspective about it. It can really deter you. It can kind of start to break your will, but if you don't let it, that's how you become a better player.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so much of being competitive in anything, in any endeavor, whether it's life at the job, whether it's playing esports or actual sports, chess, whatever, so much of it is about having the kind of mental toughness to deal with different people that are causing an issue, but also your own personal struggles.
Right.
I gotta say, I've never played Pi in my life.
You're doing really well.
I'm just matching.
This is the kind of night to just try new things. At least until Steady shows up, and then we all gotta play serious.
Then he gets to destroy us, so we gotta be on our, like,
Yeah. And then we can
top
see what
level game.
the wall looks like live on stream.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think, that's one of the most important things. That's what I love about fighting games, and I think that's what a lot of people love about fighting is that it is such that incredibly, surprisingly poignant metaphor for life. And I know that sounds super hokey, but it is, it's so important to, like, just find a way to get to that mental, like you said, mental fortitude, that strength to just kind of keep pushing past your limits. You can do it. You got it.
No! She had the life lead!
Threw it away.
I had to go in and get it.
Threw it away.
I blew it.
So, do you have any closing thoughts in regards to the wall before we take questions? Because I saw some people talking about the wall and how they feel about it in the chat.
Yeah. My closing thoughts really revolve around dealing with the wall, or trying to find a way to deal with the wall in your own, or on your own terms, because the bottom line is we're all gonna hit it, and don't think that you're alone in hitting the wall at all, ever. Everybody has hit a plateau. Everybody has thought that they were better than they were, etc. I mean, sometimes you got to be happy that it's not when you're, like top 4 at a tournament and you're like, oh, I totally have this person's number, and then you don't.
Right.
Like sometimes that's like a more difficult, frustrating thing. But bottom line is, if you can be calm about it and just pay attention to what you think you're doing wrong, and look for any opportunity. Even if you don't have to like focus in hardcore, like it doesn't have to be taking an SAT test. Like you could just relax and play and just say like, look, I'm gonna try to do like any one little thing better right now. Like do that, and it'll be a really good way to help move you on. And before you know it, you'll be past the wall and you won't even know.
Yep. I would echo that, and I would like to say, as far as, you know, trying to take in, you know, learning what it is that maybe you went wrong with, or you're like learning where your mistakes are, your bad habits are. Accept, you know, the advice of your peers, because it's going to be pretty difficult sometimes for you to see the forest for the woods. You know what I mean? Like, forest for the trees, right? What am I talking about?
Yeah.
There's a phrase in there.
No, it's
true. You fucked up one earlier.
Yeah, it's in there.
But you're gonna
I'm gonna continuously do it.
You're gonna be so frustrated. You know, you could be so frustrated with your state. You know how you performed or where you went wrong, that it'll be difficult to see exactly why that happened. And like you said, take a break. Give yourself the space you need, but listen to the critiques of your peers, because they're gonna see things that you're not. You see, you walk away from me, I'm gonna give you the booty.
Yeah. See, this is actually there's a notion, there's a TED Talk out there, and maybe if I remember, I will link it in the YouTube thing, where basically he talks about how to learn, right? He talks about how basically in 20 hours you could be good at anything, in 20 dedicated hours. And he has a few steps, and one of the steps is always, like, deconstruct what other people do better than you. Like, if you think you have a problem, you gotta try to identify what your problem is, but then see someone who does better than you and try to deconstruct it and see if you could duplicate their gains. I mean, so much of anything, you know, you learn the fundamental of a particular aspect of the game or whatever, and then you can kind of freestyle with it after you get the fundamentals down.
Right.
And the thing is, like, these things are all super cyclical. Like, you're gonna learn one thing, and it's gonna make you feel like you jumped leaps and bounds, and then you're gonna get stuck on something else. And it doesn't mean that you suck at the game. Like, you've clearly made progress, but now you just have to learn the next thing. And so you got to go through that process again of kind of getting good feedback from people, identifying what you think the issues are, you know, practicing it until it's second nature, and you don't have to think about every single movement you do like your name is Colin Kaepernick. Man, am I just bitter about
you
the
are
Bears or what?
top of it, sir.
Yeah. So that's the main thing, is like it is going to be a cycle, and it's not a backward step to go back to the first step of like identifying problems and trying to, you know, deal with them accordingly. It's supposed to go that way. It's never going to be 100% forward with no problems ever, you know.
Right.
All right, so look, everybody, thank you for listening. This concludes this discussion on hitting the wall. If anybody has any questions or anything, of course, they can hit us up and do what they got to do. So.
Or go to Free Step Dodge
awesome.
and start chatting to people there, because.
Oh, that would be amazing.
That's also a great
because Free Step Dodge, which we don't plug enough unfairly, because it's the most incredible community, especially, you know, if you're into DOA, obviously. But like, the answers to everything are there.
Yep.
I mean, there's a physicist right now wondering why he hasn't checked Free Step Dodge to figure out quantum field theory. Like, it's just, it's all there. It's all there. I know I reached for that one, but it's okay. It's all there.